patch, but I'm really excited to see what our teams can do with Kel'Thuzad.
I completely agree with you. I put him probably Medivh level in terms of the impacts that he'll have. Not that far, actually. Maybe a little bit less. Medivh is kind of on another level, but as a general rule, I feel like the implementation of him is going to change the way that the game has to be played, and all have to respect kind of him whenever he's on the battlefield.
All have to respect the call of Kel'Thuzad. Let's get into game 4. We are currently sitting at 2-0, which makes that game 3 between Roll20 and LagForce. Roll20 so far has had victories over LagForce, but LagForce has been bringing it to Roll20, and I expect that to continue as we head into Battlefield of Eternity.
This is, you know, if we're taking the metaphor I built over the last one, you know, knife to the throat moment, match point here. It turns out Roll20 confident to pull the trigger, you know, lock it in whenever they get to game number 3. I mean, you built the perfect justification as to why Gale Force wasn't willing to do it in the last one, but I love it whenever a team's just like, match point, you hit them right, set it up on a tee, you know, just waiting to go ahead and clock that one home. Roll20's ready to do it. Half of what I just said made no sense. Setting them up and setting on a tee, the whole going yard thing. I was hitting a home run from a tee, and I was suggesting it was easy. And
T-ball?
Sports ball.
I remember hitting home runs in T-ball all the time. Yeah, that's a thing. Let's take a look at the tweet and see if it's as good of a sports ball reference as the one that you just made.
If not for Dread, where would our memes come from? Argy, you know, I'm wondering the same thing.
It's a great question.
You know, I can't believe we put that on screen. I'm going to be completely honest. I am amazed we got that on broadcast.
What makes you happier? That you're getting recognition for your hard work and effort that's being put into memes, or the not for Dread?
Probably the memes, I'll be honest. The meme factory hard at work. We're keeping up our, you know, we're meeting quota.
Is that what you call your brain?
Yeah, the meme factory. We're pumping and dumping them.
Gosh, so much in life makes sense now.
Yeah. LagForce is going to go ahead and be the Medivh banner here. No surprise, it is Roll20 that we're talking about. But it does leave up the Garrosh, the Abathurs. Which, talking about Abathur, are we going to expect LagForce to pick themselves up in Abby? Abathur has been more common on BOE in North America as of part number 2, as it has been since the origin of the map.
They can't pick it if it's banned.
Do you think it's going to be? I know they're hovering it, but do you actually think? I don't think they're going to. Trust me, they're going to hover it until about 5 seconds left, and they're going to swap over.
To Taz?
It's going to be a Genji. They're just going to ban Genji.
Okay.
But you get 20 more seconds. That was one of those ones where you drop it and you immediately go, there's no other way to fix this. Okay, so the Abathur off the table. LagForce picked themselves up at Tassadar. This is not the same version of Task Tracer. This is not a map where giving up Task Tracer is like I'm willing to take that trade. I suddenly go, Roll20, I respect your confidence levels, but are we totally okay with letting Big E have Task Tracer on BOE? I mean, it looks like that's the case because the odds of you taking a raw Tracer is about 0. Right. But wow, a lot of confidence here for them.
So Garrosh Uther, or do they have to change things out now? I think they're going to Uther Chromie again.
I don't think they Chromie.
No?
But they didn't they Chromie? They Chromied even on BO. I don't think they Chromie.
Okay.
I still think you don't Chromie.
Uther. ETC.
Do I win?
I think we all win because it's Justing's ETC.
Don't give me that. We're all winners.
We're all winners here.
I don't want with that participation award. All right. I'm here to give me a fat W, okay? Me, Victor.
You lost when you said they were going to switch up the ban and ban Genji. So if you would like to say that, then sure, we'll go ahead and not have we're all winners here. But if you would like to be counted amongst the winner's desk, okay.
I'm on to you.
Lunara Rhaegar.
Lunara Rhaegar is the pick here from the members of LagForce. Kicking, you know, sticking to that. This has been a trio at the top of the draft that they've been willing to pick, also within the same series. But it seems like that's, you know, maybe they're kind of go-to, something that we can expect from them moving forward for a long while.
Yeah, they have loved Lunara for just about ever.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that they are still on the Thornwood Vine the same way they are, but they've accepted Splintered Spear. I just want to know, I want to know what is the breaking point? At what point did Splinter Spear become better than Nature's Culling, but why do we see the struggle on the other side of the table?
Seems like Lunara is favored over Tracer now whenever Roll20 gets Uther, because that happened in Infernal Shrines too.
Okay, so it's more counter-reactive, which, I mean, that makes a lot more sense. And also with the armor being removed from the Uther, or at least being lessened, it would be a more drastic adjustment into a draft. That's, you know, I like that a lot more. The Malthael Li Ming, though, on the side of Roll20, that is something Lag Force has to be afraid of. You got Malthael to prep, Li Ming for the resets. We have talked about this almost all day, it feels like. I just died a little bit in the middle of that word. Is how he just proceeded to have burp and not mean to. As you can see, Gilly is actually broken. There's a lot of things not adding up here for this series. I apologize for everybody at home. Our TVs are dying. It's just a bad time.
Yes, Malthael Li Ming for the setup and the execution.
I lost my pen. What do you...
You want to borrow mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Teamwork, thanks.
Yeah.
Go ahead and write my fake notes.
All right. Nailed it. You did it on a tablet, and then you dropped it.
Gilly, I need you to...
You're the worst. What is this? A new Barak and...
We aren't even talking about the... We haven't even we haven't given anyone at home ideas on what this is going to be.
No, because it's B-Kid.
They still go with the Dahaka.
Dahaka Muradin.
High Muradin priority too, or not high Muradin priority, but the Muradin priority just seems a little strange considering Muradin is a beast of his own when it comes to what parts of the world like him when. Probably the only hero that is relevant at all parts of the meta of the world at some point in time, but
she's
never all at the same place.
Larong loved playing Tyrande. He says it's his new one trick. He played it versus Tempo Storm. They did not show it versus Freedom, but did bust it out versus Tempo Storm. He loves playing Tyrande, and she was buffed.
And she was buffed. I feel like this game she's going to have a good time for the most part. There is a Tassadar, and the Rhaegar is one of the better ones to be able to deal with it on the others, like for the stopping the early game pressure. But there's no side pressure, no early game response whatsoever. It's just going to be, I feel like, Lag F being patient at levels 1 through 9, and level 10 is going to hit, and by that point I expect Roll20 to have a big enough lead. It's just normally when you're into the Tyrande composition, there's certain moments of the early game that you're looking to gain an advantage, and that's usually through soak, and I just don't see any world where we see that on the side of Lag F.
Yeah, heal reduction for Malthael versus the Rhaegar and Dahaka. We've got Tyrande as a way of being able to burn down the Immortals, obviously, but to help out with the Warriors, the front line, too, of Lag Force, and even a little bit of healing help, even when Uther might be more cooldown dependent with the Lunara. So let's get into it. We've got game number 3. We'll see if Roll20 can close out the series here and now with a 3-0, or if Lag Force can bring us on into a game number 4.
If they can bring it into a game number 4. When it comes to the talents, though, nobody is mixing up the level 1s. Battlefield of Eternity is a map where I want to say it's the original, flexing of talents just because the race is such a crucial aspect of the map. But sadly, we don't see anything too hairy here.
Yeah, Lunar Blaze over the Sentinel build that we saw earlier today with Tyrande. This is building up the damage of Lunar Flare, also eventually removes its mana cost, allows you to get more range so that she can more safely follow up power slides, stuns, catch people with the stuns of the Immortals too. So a lot more utility based there, but not trying to stack up the additional damage off of Sentinels.
It's not going to be stacking off Sentinels, and it's going to be a traditional 4 versus 4 laning matchup. It's a really interesting choice from Lag Force to be willing to go toe-to-toe, but to get this up and drag onto Buzz. That is first blood for Lag Force. That is not what I expected to be able to say in this game. And with that first kill of the game, this is going to be a very big moment for them, hopefully to keep pressure out through all stages of the map, because Keep in mind, Toronto compositions, level 1 through 9, that is where they are typically best, the most dominant, because of the kill potential she provides.
Yeah, all of the crowd control, not only from just Toronto, but you've got ETC with power slide face melt. He's got a lot of control there over positioning. You've got the follow-up stun of Uther, and then that makes it a lot easier to make sure that you hit your Lunar Flare. You're stacking up damage for Lunar Blaze from that too. So anything that Lag Force can do to keep that back from Roll20 in this early game is going to be key.
Between the Wisp and Zuna and his positioning, there's just nowhere for the combo to go out. They have known that it's been on bottom for the past like 45 seconds, and Lag Force has just been like, all right, well, they have to take a safe rotation. That was very well done. Lag Force here is totally, at least showing high amount of competence to be able to deal with this Toronto composition early game.
Pushing back Roll20 as they look for the defense over their Immortal. Dahaka's still sitting up in the top lane, but being coy about his positioning so that Roll20 has to think twice about where Dahaka might be.
So this is that passiveness I was talking about that you can expect on the side of Lag Force, but I didn't feel like they have a major selling point to be overly defensive. But if Glarong is not there for the combo, it doesn't matter. Brush Talk coming in. Dahaka wants to make things happen, and Glarong seems to be the focus. iDream eats himself a bit of damage from Goku as the members of Roll20 are trying to get a kill, drag from B-Kid onto Goku, but nobody having the focus fire. Both teams very split when it came to the decision making there.
Yeah, Roll20 was especially split across all fronts and sort of a diagonal line. But Justin was able to power slide back through a couple of the members and get back to the team. And because we're waiting for Lunara to get that major power spike of Splintered Spear, that's when we start to see a lot more struggling with her healing, or with her poisons from the healing of Uther. We don't have that quite yet, so it's not quite the same amount of effect, especially when it is a double support, double warrior. Lunar Flare, dodged by Burrow.
This is just very well done. The fact that Lag Force has not really given anything up to them. If anything, the fact that they were able to get the first kill of the game and now drawing attention after winning that race. I mean, Gilly, I know that this game is so very close, but I'm beyond the impressiveness of it all. It's just that I don't think any team in NA has shown this level of control and calculation against a Toronto. They get all the small victories that they can. They retreat patiently. They even open up on her like that. Look at this. They're not afraid of anything. They want this. 5 stuns later. Zuna is low, but he has the dwarf toss. Now big B-Kid not able to connect the drag. Looks like Roll20 is fine for now. Tomster out a bit too far.
Tomster is a problem as Goku comes in with the flank from the side. He's caught so many members of Roll20 finally finding that kill. And that'll be the first kill for Roll20 to get over the support. This is still Tassadar, who's available to apply some shielding, some armor to the team, but the supporting of Uther still staying strong for Roll20, and even getting Moonlit Arrows, that's going to help a lot too. It won't remove some of the stuns that we see because we didn't get Celestial Attunement, but having cooldown reduction, even more cooldown reduction for the heal is going to help out with the poison damage. So Roll20 making all the necessary adaptations to make sure they can deal with Lag Force's Lunara.
They're doing their best to be able to deal with the Lunara, but it's all about the Immortal itself and how they play out these the rest of this half. If Lag Force is able to, the biggest thing is not even making anything happen, it's just not letting the Immortal be healthy for Roll20. And the damage output they have into it right now is good. They need a little bit more. Knock it below at least one third of the shielding, and it is not going to be the least bit of a concern.
Well, all Lag Force needed to do was catch back up to 7, and now that they have 7, if they can just get a couple of pokes in, the problem is without Thornwood Vine, there's not a ton of poke for that Immortal, because they are very close to just forcing halfway, and then they can get a better setup.
What I don't understand is why are the members of Roll20 comfortable running a 1-4 with a Toronto composition that's not being the aggressive format?
Great
like
point.
They're playing defensive with a format. And I know why the answer to that is because they're willing to set Goku into the 1v no one. Hold on a minute here. Lunar Flare thrown out. Justing gets stunned, but at the end of the day, Bud's got the heals. No, he does not.
Zuna attacked by Goku. He'll be brought down, so it's a warrior trade for both teams.
Stun out, forcing the cleanse.
Man, Tassadar is so low.
Wow.
Oh, I was so scared the Prismaticist was gonna get Reset City.
Able to avoid those and now focus onto the Immortal race. Look at that damage here from Roll20 with that Hunter's Mark, their race potential. Able to convert it to 50-50 now. Another Hunter's Mark goes down. They win it by 183.
Wowzers, that was close.
Roll20. They do have this advantage over the Immortal phase, but we have to keep in mind that they have been unable to be the aggressors with the Tyrande compositions. We've seen far more Tyrande compositions be far more effective, levels 1 through 9 on this map, on others in North America, and it's still loose.
Yeah, and because it was 183 health, there's not shielding.
There's nothing. It's going to be a free clear. It's just going to be at best a front wall. I mean, this really isn't something you can look at as a win for Roll20. Black Force is in prime position to win this game.
Cleared out the Immortal now, only losing the front wall, giving a slight edge experience-wise to Roll20 as they get very close to heroic abilities. B-Kid not playing your game, Roll20. It's way far back. That might be a spot with heroic abilities where Roll20 could run in and just try to take the fort instead. They've already got the minions pushed there.
Nobody's looking to pick up the Shamans yet. As you see Roll20 kind of waiting, hovering around. It's all about who can find a lag force around. Zuna doing such a good job with that anchoring. B-Kid always backing away from the fort. Zuna's the focus for now. It's all about when the Lunar Flare goes down. That's when you can tell they wanted a kill target. It ended up being Zuna. Cleanse was used from Tomster.
Everything A-okay for lag force. They use a cleanse,
yeah,
but there's no kills, there's no losses.
Using that cleanse should be punishable by Roll20. I mean, the first iteration of the Diablo Tyrande and the Miranda of way back, if you saw a cleanse go down, you legitimately said, thank you, I have a kill next time, or I have a heroic. One of the two were the thought processes. Roll20, though, still shows a bit more patience with their own Tyrande comp. Said they back out, take the Shaman. It's going to be reasonably well timed with this Immortal as you see it coming online in the next 10.
Starfall this time over Shadowstalk. Be a lot of ability to siege along with future Immortals. We got the slow from that. Possibly we'll see the heroic upgrade if we can get to 20. That applies Hunter's Mark to all the heroes in the area.
I really like the Starfall. That's something that we have not seen much of out of North American. Tyrandas being picked up.
Yeah, the slow may be able to set up a better positioning for things like Tormented Souls, for potentially if people are grouped, a mosh pit.
Hey, I mean, the thing is just got a lot of utility. Glorong taking a lot of damage from big impact. Bud's unable to keep the members alive. Tomster even throws down Totem. Zuna unable to hit the Storm Bolt. Dwarf tosses away. Goku with the Tormented Souls on the back line. B-Kid, though, pops adaptation on his own as B-Kid is still, or Goku is still questioning if he wants to go in. Lunar Flare connects on to B-Kid. Goku, look at, they're constantly in and out, back and forth.
Yeah, but almost every resource for Lag Force has been used. They only have Archon and Ancestral Healing left. I mean, as long as they have Ancestral Healing, it's really big that they still have that, but Roll20 used Tormented Souls and that's it. Mosh Pit wasn't ever used, the Divine Mosh possibilities from that, and Starfall still for a possible setup from that. So Lagaf back off initially, take some poke on their Immortal. They're fairly tied in health.
Lagaf is going to focus onto this Immortal now after that beautiful zone. They're getting enough damage out there. Halftime show is kicked off by, I believe, Roll20 is the one who gets it. But no major victory for either team. Big Impact's completely out of mana. Justin goes in with the power slide. Mosh Pit only lands onto one. Free cleanse is there from Tomster. Now we see Glorong stuck in a corner, but the Divine Shield very well used from Buds. And now iDream and the rest of LagF on full retreat.
Amazing trust from Roll20 that Glorong was in that position, put down the Starfall, had the heals there for both of them, and got kills on both the people who were in that deep trying to get the kill on Glorong. Two warriors who were there trying to flank and put all emphasis on trying to take out Glorong. And Roll20 are rewarded. They get this next Immortal. They're just about to get level 13. Things are starting to look up for Roll20. Even as the early game, they didn't get very much done with their Tyrande. They're still finding their openings.
Yeah, that's a really cool kind of angle to talk about too, because most of the Tyrande versions we've seen have been overly successful in the early game, pretty lackluster in the mid game, and win a miracle fight into the later stages, whereas this seems to be not so dominant through early, but mid a lot more controlled. I mean, yes, we are yet to really see how much they can make happen with this Immortal. It looks like it's at best going to be a key front wall as the top 4 ends up going down. LagF still looking for that 13 with the Dahaka getting the soak up on the bottom. One thing we have to be looking at going to the next Immortal phase is we've seen 2 different laning situations on the side lanes. One has been one where Roll20 has been comfortable with Goku on the Malthael being not into matching B-Kid on the Dahaka. When that happens, it's a huge disadvantage for Roll20, and they're winning essentially the 1v1 and the 4. When you have the Tyrande, especially at the early stages, you should assume that you win the 4 versus 4 skirmishes, and if you're winning the 1v1, you're winning the whole map. But then when they were losing the 1 versus 1, and the Dahaka and Malthael were not going head-to-head, and they split the pressure, suddenly the 4 has to worry about babying the soak into that side lane. So if LagForce just puts the Dahaka to where the Malthael doesn't want to be constantly, I feel like LagForce can have a better Immortal phase than they experienced over the last. A lot better, even so much so that they might be able to come out on top.
Yeah, it all comes down to positioning and rotations into the Immortal phase. So far, Roll20 in having this constant talent tier advantage, or at least level advantage, puts them in a really good spot where they can rotate in and get there faster. But LagForce can't race Roll20. Roll20 have Hunter's Mark, they have Tyrande, they have Li Ming too, and then they have Malthael when he joins up, being able to poke in. They have the poking set up though, so depending on where the Immortals spawn once we get to 30 seconds, this time at least LagForce have some time before Roll20 have 16. So they're getting ready, they're sending back, they get their Shaman, they're sending Lunara back so that she doesn't run into the mana loss problem of before. Nice, inevitable end use.
It's going to allow Roll20 to have Goku back away. The Shaman camp, because of the time that it was picked up now, Goku is going to be able to have a pretty free clear on top of that, but it's a small window for LagForce, one that they cannot wait on. The Immortal race, because of the spawning, is going to allow the members of Roll20 burn that Hunter's Mark. Stormbolt was consumed by Glorong, but it looks like the first half of this race is going to be victor of Roll20.
And that was without Malthael. And that was before everyone from LagForce rotated in. They stopped at the Immortal. They dealt as much damage as they could, but eventually they had to come down and try to slow things down and stop. And now, they did use that time to make sure that they could get damage in so that they weren't dealing with a very well-shielded Immortal, so maybe that's the take. They know that they're going to lose the Immortal because Roll20 are going to get 16 at some point. So the best thing that they can do, as I say that though, they're fighting even down 16 because they are LagF.
Well, this is it, LagF. If we're going to take the impossible fight, let's see it. Goku, Tormented Souls on the backline. Justin splitting out B-Kib. Adaptation is going to be used and get quite a bit of value, but Zuna too low. He has to get the retreat. Justin got dragged. Stormbolt follows. But it's all about this race on the Immortal that Roll20 claims for their own. Zuna and friends going in. Starfall, the mosh pit, it only hits one. No cleanse used yet.
Now he's got a burrow to get down out of some of that damage. Divine Shield keeping Glowering alive as iDream hitting the backline with a lot of damage from the Archon. Justin is so low and finally is brought down by LagF. They jump in to follow up with the kill on Prismaticism. Buds heals up, giving some armor, trying to let Prismaticism get away, and they do. But Tyrande is the one that's caught as LagForce take a second kill.
And Goku is going to be chased down here using Inevitable End and meeting his The Immortal on bottom still is very shielded though, as you see it doing work down here. The keep front wall, maybe a bit of damage into the keep and well, but getting that win in that fight was just what LagForce needed to keep into this game.
I am so amazed every time that LagForce will take fights like that down. Crucial talent tiers like 16, but they made it work for them. The mosh pit not grabbing a lot of the members from Roll20, and that happened, or from LagForce, that happened the first game where Roll20 played ETC too. They punished the ETC, they find Prismaticism. So much is used on Prismaticism being able to stay alive. Big E does a great job of spreading out those poisons so that anybody really is an ideal target if they find the right spot. And Tyrande coming in allowed them to get the kill on Tyrande instead of Prismaticism. LagForce now gets another chance, and they keep both of their keeps alive.
They do end up keeping the keeps alive here, but they haven't gotten a single structure. It's one of those cases where LagForce, the game isn't over, and you aren't too far out of it, but we haven't seen a moment where they really seem to be the ones in control for even a fraction of a second. It's been more of how can we stop Roll20. And at some point, they're very much going to have to be the one in that driver's seat.
Cool little move from Roll20 to stop LagF from taking their bottom fort, forcing members back, getting towers down in front of that keep, making sure that they get the next Immortal. It's going to be on a keep somewhere.
"30 seconds away. Zuna and friends start up the Shaman camp. That was revealed after that owl from Tyrande. LagForce has captured this early every single time. They're going to do it again. I would like to see them do something more than just gank the top lane with this then, because that has been the decision they made the last 2 times that they captured the Shaman early.
What about ganking their opponent's Shaman?
Seems a bit too late.
Yeah. No catch there, but it does set them up positionally to defend their Immortal.
Dahaka and Malthael up on a top. Dahaka's making his way down below. This is going to be a huge moment for Roll20. The minute they see the members transition outwards, they're going to go ahead and get in this damage. They're going to take this race 5 versus 4, but we have to keep in mind that the clear is actually pretty close to even for both sides. Not just on the Immortal, I'm talking about the side lanes here. The Dahaka and the Malthael ridding of the Shaman camp. Roll20 pulls ahead onto the race. And now you can expect, I'm guessing the Malthael pull in with this and now take a full 5-on-5. LagF, they have to shred left.
Couple of different spots where Dahaka could stalk in, but they need to get into a setup to stop both of the poke angles, or the primary poking angles from Roll20, because they do have a couple of different poking heroes. They've caught Roll20 away from Malthael.
The knockback putting Zuna in a bad spot. He's got to get the Avatar, but look at Goku's Tormented Souls. He gets the Divine Shield. Glaurung's very weak as well. This is actually a huge window. LagForce can win this team fight as long as they keep themselves alive. They manage to do so. They get the heals up, but they need to make sure this Immortal does not go down.
Yeah, the poke is there, and Roll20 are using the time where LagForce wants to be healing back up, and they don't have that time. They have to get back in before they fully healed up. Drag catches Justin into a stun, throws him back against the wall. Zuna has caught Goku, but Justin will power slide through to allow for the peel.
He also has the mosh pit still available, so watch Justin's positioning as he go ahead and throws out that knockback. 5,000 HP. Inevitable end used, again, stopping the Storm Bolt and the aggression from LagForce moving forwards. Goku moves in, trying to get damage onto that Mortal. He is 100% going to go down. No inevitable end here.
Nope, drag and a Storm Bolt was a Malthael sandwich. LagForce take Malthael out for 50 seconds. But they can't let up. The health bar is still really low, so Zuna has to continue anchoring. Dahaka wants to be soaking, but also making sure to watch and see if anyone sneaks in. And LagForce, again, are going to step off the Immortal, hoping for some kills.
Glaurung seems to be the focus. Now they turn on to Buds. He is fine for now as he has those heals. He goes into Ghost Wolf, or Ghost form, not Ghost Wolf. He is not the Rhaegar. And the Immortal is won by Roll20. With half the shielding and 2 members dead, there's no way that LagForce does not get an easy clear on this. So we have another Immortal phase left in this game.
21 minutes into Battlefield of Eternity as both teams approach Storm Talents in level 20. Force clearing out the Immortal, the shielding down, and still bringing down that bar, making sure that their keeps stay as healthy as possible. Lag Force was baited into the fight. Roll20 pulled them away long enough that Prismaticism could take out the Immortal and ensure that they still got the Immortal. But it was a bittersweet victory because they did lose Uther. They could not push with this, and that keep stands at about 2/3 health.
If we look at how this game has kind of gone in terms of success level of fights for Roll20, it has been a pretty heavy, consistent downward trend. Even though they have the 20 now, if they let Lag Force, I feel like, get to the 20 threshold before getting a keep or a major objective or advantage elsewhere on the map, I feel like Lag Force has got this. I mean, seriously, think about every team fight you've seen. There's not been a single one Roll20 has pulled ahead of. Even down 16 talents here, they lost a fight.
I know. The only thing that's keeping me from saying that I agree with you is level 20 justing with Tourbus and the mosh pit. We felt the same way about game 1, and Justin hit a 4-man mosh pit.
He also had a 4-man void to set it up.
In game 1?
Or, there was a, right, we had a void. Yeah, it was a void into a tour bus. Am I thinking about Tempo Storm here? Now I'm getting my games mixed up.
No, that's true.
They enabled it through the void onto the Force. So that is a huge difference, as they don't have, you know, the walking green bubble that is known as the Dream Mosh Pit. But
and this time Lag Force has a bit better of ways of dealing with it. Like, it was just down to Muradin to stun out or Rhaegar to cleanse someone out. Similar comp.
I feel like that talent choice for Prismat is going to be the thing that make or breaks this game, that 20. I know that sounds joking, but I think I mean it. Like, in terms of the pressure, I think that's going to force for Lag Force onto this Immortal. I feel like they're going to overreact, and suddenly Roll20 can win a fight if they commit too many resources onto the Li Ming. It's because Zuna's ignoring it. I don't know if you paid attention, Zuna just wants to kill Glaurung, and he's doing a very good job because Glaurung cannot deal with a Muradin auto-attacking, getting the pressure onto him in the manner that he's done so. But if you can bait it and make it a Li Ming sitting there getting the Archon, throwing out the old laser beam, might be enough to make them overextend.
One more Immortal phase.
See? Zuna, don't fall for it, man. That's not you.
But standing in front takes a lot of that damage away. The Archon sizzling the health bar of the red Immortal.
You see the members of Lag Force going, we do not want to let this thing keep doing this. Zuna goes for the flank. He gets responded on. Lunar Flare interrupts the Dwarf Toss. Cleanse has got to be used. Lunara doing way too much damage onto Roll20. The mosh pit!
There it is, and there they go. 2 kills, a 3rd kill as Li Ming gets reset after reset, eliminating Lag Force. Only a Dahaka left.
Okay, you win. I get it. You're right. It was all about the Justin tour bus. Giving us the old bait and switch. He locks it in. He wipes 4 members of Lag Force, and more importantly, wins the series.
To be fair, that was a brilliant bait into a choke point where Justin could do Justin things. He's been getting 5-man mosh pits at Western Clashes. He gets 2 gigantic, ginormous mosh pits here. Now there's only a Dahaka left. Roll20 will happily take out the keep in this the core in this 25-minute game on Battlefield of Eternity to win 3-0 over Lag Force.
Lag Force goes down 0-3, but let's be real here. That series was much closer for them than I assumed it was going to be. I feel like this final game was far better than, you know, a lot of people would have expected going into it before. Just impressive play coming out from all the members of Lag Force. But at the end of the day, some of the best in North America. Roll20 doing what they do best, getting a win.
That keeps them within eyesight of Gale Force Esports at the top of the standings. I believe it's now 8 for Gale Force Esports and 7 for Roll20, but Roll20 have played more series. And they will continue to play more because they will play against Superstars on Sunday. But Man, Lag Force, I feel like they have come in with consistency from weekend 1 to weekend 2, and I'm expecting great things from them as they take on Team Freedom tomorrow.
I agree. I feel like Lag Force is going to put up a pretty solid fight in a Freedom, which Freedom looked a bit shaky. You know, last time we got to see them playing in week number 1. I feel like Freedom still got a pretty big upper hand there, but Lag Force is continually making positive trends. It's just, does it continue? Does it keep continuing? Or does it have, you know, that kind of stopping point? Because like we have learned from almost every team in North America, the odds of us getting the same games week 1 through 5 are about 0. So I'm still expecting that here from Lag Force to get either a really amazing higher or a very, you know, step back in terms of performance at some point.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway that we have been able to find throughout all of HGC this year is how important consistency is. It is very difficult to make sure that you are still keeping up with the meta, you are making sure that you are playing the same from week to week, that you are putting in the amount of time that you need to research your opponents, especially in those weeks where you have 2 opponents. You can see a lot of fluctuation in consistency. And this isn't the only region where you see that either. You see that in Europe as well, from week to week. And it's understandable. And when you put into the factors like going to live events too, and other teams being able to take a break, get used to the next meta, next patch, not being able to play on PTR and learn those patches, consistency is difficult for teams. So I'm thrilled that Lag Force is displaying continued adjustments and improving their gameplay even into this weekend.
Yeah, it makes the most sense when considering that amount of time and that factor that goes into that, because they have sat at the lower stages of it and not going to those international things to be able to get that performance. But I feel like the biggest thing for them is, like, yes, it is a slightly different roster than what we started with, but a core 4 of the 5 stuck together, and that they are now at a point in time to where things seem to make a positive trend, and it isn't because we lost 3/5 of our roster, or at least a majority of the roster is gone. We hit them on honeymoon phase and things look good. It looks like a genuine shift in thought process, and I feel like that is why it stands out more than every other iteration before that.
Yeah, even with, phase 1, we would look at them, and 1 week they would go 2-3 with Tempo Storm, and then the next week they would lose to a team that after that we're like, well, surely they win this series, right? So it is great to see that mentality-wise they have been able to make those shifts. But it's also great to see Roll20 get another 3-0. They have not lost a single game yet in part 2.
That's a good point.
It's pretty good. Let's check in with Goku and find out how Roll20 is feeling after that series. Hey, Goku, it's nice to have you on the show. How are you guys feeling?
Pretty good, I would say. It was definitely a tense series, something I didn't really expect, but honestly, Lag Force definitely showed themselves today.
Yeah, did you guys come in with more preparation for Lag Force? Because I know that you guys are playing both Superstars and Lag Force. Prismaticism said that you guys were trying to prepare equally, but I'm wondering how much preparation specifically into Lag Force you did.
It's basically what exactly Prismat said. We both equally think Lag Force and Superstars are about in the same boat. So we gave them as much respect as they deserve, to be honest.
All right, Dred?
I got to ask you about the Malthael. Not so much yours specifically, but it does seem like he has risen in power from North America to where he's kind of been a staple. I was wondering if you could give us more thoughts, and, you know, is he here for good? Is he always going to be almost every single game? Where does the Malthael fall now after this patch?
At this moment, Malthael just excels in pretty much every single way. Maybe besides like wave clear, other heroes can do that job, but he's a lane bully for the early levels, and once he hits 10s, it's just probably his biggest power spike in the game. He just does an insane amount of damage, and on top of that, he has an AoE heal reduction, which is insanely broken.
All right, well, thank you for the insight.
Well, Goku, we have been postulating about which team is the best team in North America today after seeing you guys perform, getting those 2 3-0s and now 3 3-0s so far in part 2, and then also seeing the series between Gale Force and Tempo. So do you guys feel like you guys are the team that is #1 and you'll be able to defeat Gale Force down the road when you play them, or what are your thoughts on that?
We're going to go in the mentality that we're #1, and I think that's 100% correct, to be honest. But at the moment, Gale Force has that position, and we're gonna go really hard to Gale Force. We're gonna give it a really great series, and we're gonna clean sweep them, in all honesty, considering we value Team Freedom more of a better team than Gale Force.
Wow. Well, it's awesome to hear. We'll get to see Freedom play later on, but congratulations and good luck in your series on Sunday versus Superstars. Any shout-outs before you head out?
Yeah, shout outs to Roll20. Not only they're just a great sponsor, but they're also promoting our brand as players ourselves. And shout outs to my team for taking it through. It was definitely a hard series. And shout outs to our fans and shout outs to you guys.
Shout outs to you, Goku. Thank you. It was awesome to have you here.
Thank you.
Aw.
Aw, Goku, man.
Good
He's got a special place in my heart, you know?
Yeah.
Just because when I left Tempo Storm, he was the only player on the roster we ended up picking up in that 1 week window between, like, we ended Worlds or Globals and going to BlizzCon and then failing there. And then afterwards, he was the only one where I was like, I think that dude's got a future. So every single time, like, he just walked in, and I wanted to say his confidence that he displayed there. If you look at his background, that is a dude who joined Tempo after the Fallout, remind you, and before the resurrection of Tempo Storm. So when they're sitting 8th place in the North American scene, he then went to another roster where it's set 6th place in the North American scene. And for the first time ever, he might be able to claim he is on the best team in North America. And he just walked in and he's like, well, clean sweep. Like, he is so on, like, I am a part of this thought process, and then displaying that confidence. I was like, damn, that's Goku saying that. He's just up there like, hey, clean sweep. Never would have expected that from him. So I feel like it's awesome to see that kind of happening in the transition, you know, overall as a player.
I agree. His growth with Superstars throughout all of Phase 1 put him in a position where everyone had their eyes on Goku, trying to figure out where does he go, which team does he join after he left Superstars. So it's awesome to see him and Roll20 finding success. Let's see where they stand now with that win over Lag Force. And that is still beneath Gale Force Esports, but they're making the climb. They are making a name for themselves here and a reason for why they deserve that top spot. We'll see them play Gale Force Esports later on in the next couple of weeks, but they will take on Superstars on Sunday.
Biggest thing here to note, again, keep in mind, just as looking at those top halves here, it's all about the amount of games played, who you've ended up playing. So, you know, if you have a favorite team and you're wondering, how can I expect for them to be able to perform, or, you know, like, what are the chances, the odds of success, you know, go ahead and go to our website. Better way to break it down through that and just going like, well, who have they played? Who do they have to play? What do you see going on there? Because it can be rather difficult. You know, we are up here all day trying to be able to break it all down for you guys, but we realize when it really comes down to it, it's just your individual teams, who they play versus who they're going into. Right now, Roll20 looks the best. Taking out the not Gale Force, what am I talking about?
Tempo and Freedom.
Tempo and Team Freedom. They are looking like they are the hot in North America.
That they are, but they got to maintain that consistency for the next few weeks. Let's check in with the schedule for tomorrow and see what to expect in Europe and in North American HGC. Tricked Esport versus Team Expert. That will be a good one between those two teams. There we go.
Everything's broken. And I was watching that the whole time as you went through that, and I was like,
You saw the cogs turning?
I respected your ability to keep going through, even though I was like, I can't tell if that's broken or not because of these logos. All right, we're back.
Here it is. Here's tomorrow's schedule. Zealots and Team Expert. Man, I am pumped for that series. That's one that I'm going to be waking up early to make sure I watch. Team Good Guys versus Playing Ducks after that in Europe. And then in North America, Even in Death versus Superstars. Guys, this match is huge. It is, man, for the Crucible. We'll get into that in a second, but Lag Force versus Team Freedom. Lag Force can't let off the gas. They got to keep going versus Team Freedom, and it'll be good to see Team Freedom and how they're doing after their loss versus Roll20 last weekend.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that series. More of, can Team Freedom get a clean 3-0 after what we saw out of them in Week 1? What are we going to see going for them and the dominance that they perform? I still feel like even though we have positive sides from Lag F, I put it as like that should be a 3-0, but I feel like that's a perfect measure. Can Lag F, even one game, I feel like is a huge tail for them. And as you said, Even in Death and Superstars.
Oh, man.
I mean, to put it lightly, whoever loses that is probably your Crucible team. I mean, that's how you can look at it. If one of those two teams is your favorite team and they lose that series, the odds of them being the team that has to fight for their lives at HGC is near 100%. So it means a lot for those teams. Yeah, that is an ultra important match. A lot of great matches coming in tomorrow here at the Heroes Global Championship. But that is it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And until then, we'll see you in the Nexus.